Okay, so I recently got this question from 17 Seraphic on YouTube, and they asked me, I'd love to see a video on overcoming procrastination. I often know exactly what needs to be done, but there's a part of me that just resists doing it. Girl, same. It feels like a constant battle in my head, wanting to do what's good for me, yet not following through. Okay, so I will admit that when I first got this question, my mind immediately started drafting a response that was really anchored in productivity. So, thinking about your energy levels, how to match the time of day with actually getting something done, pairing that kind of doer self with the executor self, and making sure that those parts work in tandem. And I had drafted an entire outline in my Substack newsletter. And what I like to do when I write is like I'll write something and then I'll come back to it a day or two later just because I feel like it's really important for these ideas to sort of like compost. And when I came back to it, I was like, but like, let's be honest. Let's be really honest. Like, that's not the issue. I don't think it's actually an issue of willpower because I don't know about you, but I don't really feel like laziness exists. Okay, so I thought to my own experience of procrastination and specifically around nighttime. So there comes a time every night where I've put the kids to bed. It's probably about like 9:30, 9:45. Okay, the kids are in bed. And now I have maybe about an hour to myself. And what is the first thing that I do is I want to go lie on the bed and start scrolling on my phone and just kind of like numb out, right? And so I thought to myself that this is like a specific 15-minute window every day where my better self knows, hey, Mandy, you really should be, brushing your teeth, flossing, taking your shower. Like, these things take time. And the later that you push it, the less sleep you're going to get. And then you have to wake up and do it all over again. So, like, you might as well just, like, hurry up. Like, get up. Like, stop laying there. Okay? But again, it's not willpower and it's not laziness. It's almost like I have to lay there because I am so tired. I'm bone tired. And it's like my eyeballs. This started happening to me probably in my like late 30s, where my eyeballs literally get dry and I can't even barely like open my eyes. I'm so old. And then I just can't, like, my body stops functioning. I don't know. Just around like 9 or 10 p.m., my body just like stops functioning. And I get incredibly grumpy and incredibly tired. And I thought to myself, like, well, what is that? Because that's really like the thing that needs to be solved, right? It's not that I know very well that I should brush my teeth and get on with it, right? So that I can get in bed all nice and clean and maybe read a book before I go to I know intellectually, I know all of this. And yet, why don't I do it? Why don't I do it? And this is exactly what the original poster was asking about. They were like, what is that? What is that disconnect? Okay, so I'm going to read you this excerpt of like what I wrote because I don't even think I could verbally say it as well as I like wrote it. So this is kind of the key paragraph, right? I could write a lot about productivity and to-do lists, but the main issue, I believe, is that A, doing things is boring and we are allergic to boredom, true, and B, we do not get enough rest. So I'm finding this relationship between rest and procrastination. Okay? I personally don't know how to rest. I'm so afraid that if I stop running, I'll lose it all, and the momentum, the muse, the movement, all of it will vanish, and I'll be alone. Alone in my obscurity, alone in my essential mediocrity, unprotected by achievements and things that I can point to that say, hey, you're worth something. that it will confirm my essential otherness, my family's inclinations towards bad tempers and failure, and that I will be pulled back down into that moment when I had $1,200 in my bank account and was begging people to sign up for coaching sessions. And so I think what I'm trying to illustrate here is the connection between the go, 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 the pushing, the nonstop productivity, the chasing of something is actually us running away from what? Fueled by fear, running away from the idea that we might not be as great as we think we are, right? So it's the whatever insecurity you sit in or is chasing you, we do things in order to run away from them. And it's this constant go, go, go throughout the day, this rushing, this inability to sit with and perhaps ponder and accept some part of our essential mediocrity, right? That prevents us from actually resting. So then I got curious about, okay, so what is rest? And like, how am I currently resting? And so this is something I would ask you guys as well to sort of question, like, in your downtime, okay? And I really don't enjoy the whole like self-care movement. Like, I think it has to be deeper than that. Like, it can't just be that we just put on a face mask and then we like like that. You know what I mean? So I'm really thinking about not just like self-care, mama, like not that vein of it, but rather like, how do I intentionally throughout the day actually rest? How do I give myself permission to slow down so that I can be a more integrated version of myself? So that I can actually be with my thoughts, and some of those thoughts may be incredibly negative, and that's fine. Some of those thoughts may be boring, and that's fine. Some of those thoughts may be outrageously delulu, and that's fine. So I kind of came to two conclusions, okay? The first is that we simply need more rest, like the quantity, the amount of time that we need to decompress, to relax, to just sit and not do and not accomplish needs to just simply be more. Like, if you're doing 30 minutes, it should be an hour. If you're doing an hour, it should be 2 hours. Like, let's just increase the amount of time that we're spending in more of this state where we just exist. So, and the second thing, which I think is the crux of the whole argument, is that we need to increase the quality of the rest that we do have. I have not been intentional about my rest. My rest is sit on a chair, half passed out, open up TikTok, start scrolling. Like, that's actually not restful, because it's 30 to 60 seconds of dopamine hits over and over again. I close my phone, I feel more tired than I did before, right? So I'm going to be more intentional about like how I consume short form content, okay? Because there are certain times a day where it's like, this is perfect. Like, it's just like a little bit of fun that I'm going to watch. But if I'm actually tired and if I actually am feeling a little bit low energy, that is not gonna help me. It's just not, okay? And so I also think about this idea of like substitutes, right? Which is like, when you're trying to change a bad habit, you can't just like eliminate it. Usually you have to replace it with something else. And in my case, I'm thinking, what are the things that I actually enjoy that can give me a moment of relaxation where I feel that time is not compressed, but rather is expanded? And it's very simple things, okay? One of the things is like, make a cup of tea. So I do that all the time anyway, but I feel like I can add a little more intentionality behind it. Two other ideas that I had was, one was like, read more. And it's as simple as like I just went on my Kindle and through like my local library, like downloaded a couple of books. I just started reading Sally Rooney's Intermezzo. It is incredible, although kind of a dense, like, like, okay, so side note, I'm just going to talk about this book for a minute. She is an incredible writer, and this is the first book I've ever read of hers, but more than an incredible writer, she's basically like a channeler. So this book is told from many different people's perspectives, namely like these two brothers and then their like respective like girlfriends. And I'm only like on chapter 3. So if you've read it and I don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. But basically she moves between different people's perspectives, but she tells it from third person, but it's like close third person. And the way that you're able to feel exactly in this person's head, whoever is narrating at that exact moment, like whoever's perspective we're inhabiting, it like there's one character who is a little bit more chaotic and you feel chaotic like reading it. And then another character who is very analytical, like a chess player, and you feel the like organization on the page. So to be taken on this ride is like incredible. Although I do have to say it is a little intense, and I'm used to reading just like cheap rom-com, like chick lit smut essentially. And so this is a little bit more highbrow and like it is very relaxing. Like I found myself that first night in bed reading it for 40 minutes straight, which is amazing because oftentimes I can only read for like 5 minutes and then I'm exhausted and can't. And like I just kept going, which was amazing. But then I also found that like because it has such depth and such density of words that now I'm like, okay, we're going to take this in like 20-minute increments, you know? But I'm so glad that I found this. Like, I'm so glad that this like dropped into my lap and that I'm reading it now. And I have a couple other books downloaded as well. And I just like encourage you to do the same. If you're like a big voracious reader and already doing this, then amazing. Or if you're someone like me where it's like, I love to read, I identify as a reader and as a writer, but for some whatever reason, it's just like fallen off, then get back into it. It's great. Then the last idea I had was just to do more puzzles. And like, I love a puzzle. My mom loves a puzzle. My mother-in-law loves a puzzle. Like, my husband loves a puzzle. Like, if there's a puzzle, I will be doing it. And so I'm thinking like, oh, okay, I should like go to the thrift store and get like a $15 table and have that be in my living room as like a dedicated puzzle table. Because sometimes like after you have had a big meal and you've like cleaned up and you're just kind of like tired, but you don't want to just like watch TV, but you kind of want to do something a little bit with your hands and a little bit with your mind and just sort of like digest. I feel like that is the perfect activity. So that is on my list as well. Guys, this is like so simple. Like my form of increasing the quality of my rest literally comes in things that are virtually free. Like I'm going to go to Goodwill and get a puzzle for $4, right? Like I'm going to go get a puzzle table at my local like there's like it's called like Restore, and it basically is like a thrift store, but for like home goods. I'm going to go there and get a table for like 50. I'm going to spend under $20 and have an entire like puzzle set up. And that is going to perhaps save my mental health. Another thing that I've been doing lately that might work for you is like, okay, so I do think that there is something to having these like different sides of yourself. One side is like, a planner, an organizer is thinking about like, okay, long-term goals, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, like 5-year, like someone who is very proactive and looking out for you and thinking about like, how do we plan for the future so that when we wake up a year from now, we're in a better place. Okay. And then there's like the everyday person, the one with like the tired eyeballs who's just like, oh my God, help me. Like if I have to plan another dinner or like make another meal or like wash another dish, like I think I'm going to die, you know? And I think that each one of those selves is in the driver's seat in a different time of day. Okay. So like the planner and the organizer is probably going to be found or like activated better in the morning. Okay. So what I've been doing is I've been like, okay, what's like one thing? I don't pick like 10 things. I just pick like one thing. What is one thing that I want to get done today? and then I think about it, and then I like write it down, or I just like have it in my head, and then I try to get that thing done in the morning. I just try my best to get it done. And lately I've been kind of thinking about like, do I go back to one-on-one coaching? Because there's something that I really miss about holding that space and being like part of someone's life, if that makes sense. Like the past year, I've been very intentional about not doing any more like private coaching because I think like I'm trying to grow my business and I'm trying to expand like my offerings. And I just really didn't want to do the like selling my time for money thing anymore. And so I've really held off on that. But I have gotten a few requests. People are often like, do you do one-on-one coaching? And I've been thinking like, how do I solve that? Because I still want that connective piece, but I know I don't have like I'm not going to commit to something that I can't commit to, right? So like I know that just where I am in my life right now, I've got two relatively young kids. They both have a ton of activities. I am constantly like driving them to and from like picking up, dropping off, go like preparing for this. Like just that's my life right now. And so I'm like, the amount of time that I have to myself every day is like literally like 2, 3 hours if I'm lucky between all of the other commitments that I have. So I was like, even though you want to do it, you can't do it. And then also it's like the question of like, how much do I charge? Like how much I would have to charge to like make it worthwhile. And like I've seen a lot of coaches who like as their platform grows, like they jack up their prices. And I've seen coaches where they're like, oh, a one-on-one session with me is like $800 an hour. And like, look, more power to them. I think they're intentionally pricing it that way to like only attract a certain type of client. But I just, from an ethical perspective, not that they're not ethical, like I'm not even judging them. I'm just saying for me, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's not even ethical. It's just like, I don't want to just coach the rich. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So, especially if you guys are like coaches or healers yourself, like, this conundrum where it's like you have to make a living, right? You have to charge a certain amount to like make your time worthwhile. But at the same time, it's like the people who need your help the most are not people who can afford like a $700 or $800 per hour session. And I know you could argue like, Mandy, you don't have to be so crazy. You could charge like $350. Even that just seems egregious. I just may be at a point, honestly, that I have to accept where I have the desire to do the coaching, but I have neither the time nor the capacity, nor the alignment of time, money, value, right? To make it worth my while, honestly, I think I would have to charge like at least $400 an hour because I think it's like cost benefit. It's like I could use that hour for creating content, which would then scale the business and help promote like 50 different things, right? Or I could spend the time with one person. And at a certain point, like for me, the calculus, it like doesn't make sense. But then also how much I would need to make that make sense doesn't make sense for the market and isn't fair to whoever is doing it. So all in all, I just think I have to accept that. But so when you find yourself in this kind of question, and it's a casual question. This is not life or death, okay? Like I recognize this is a very actually like silly question to be asking oneself, but it's like when you find yourself in that situation, you have to basically look for alternatives. You have to look for ways that you can satisfy that desire while also maintaining some equilibrium and peace in your life. So one of the things I thought was like, I'm going to do more lives. I'm going to do more TikTok lives. I'm going to do more YouTube lives. I've done 3 of them so far. And that was the thing that I did in the morning. I was like, I think I want to try that. Now, there's a lot of fear behind that, right? Fear specifically in that it's like, the last time I really did lives was probably 6 months or 8 months ago. Like, I don't really do it very often. Why? Because it's scary as shit. Like, you're getting on there. You don't know who's going to be on there. Sometimes people who've never seen you before hop on your live and they're like mean to you. And And like it's you really have to be in a very specific mindset to like hold that space, be kind, be accommodating, and then also random people are coming into your chat being like, "What's up, bitch?" Like it's just not the best energy. But I was like, well, let's just try it, you know? And I know what the unknowns are. And I know that I've had great experiences and not great experiences. But again, I was like, I'm just feeling kind of drawn to this idea, so I'm going to try it. And in the end, like I actually loved it. It made me feel that sense of like connection again with people. It made me feel like it was just fun. People were also having conversations with each other in the chat, which I think is super cool because then that means basically it's not about you. You're like creating this space where like-minded people can connect, which is awesome. That is the definition of community. So I'm like, hell yeah, like double down on that. So long story long, it's like because I sort of attacked that or like allowed myself the space to do that in the morning before I could get distracted by anything else or before I could get too tired, I was able to do something that was kind of scary or like I was able to do something that took a little bit of effort. It wasn't something that I'd done a lot before. It was something that I could just be like, "Oh, okay, let's try it," right? And so I think that if I had waited until 4 p.m., like 4 p.m. Mandy is not doing that. Period. No way. 4 p.m. Mandy is like barely alive. Okay. Okay. And then I just want to end this with a kind of permission piece, which is similar to what I said in the article as well, which is like, look, there's also a chance that you just don't actually want to do it. Like, okay, because if we're going with the premise, right, that procrastination and the laziness, right, an essential kind of like you just don't have the strength and the willpower to do it. Like if we believe that that doesn't really exist in the way that it is portrayed, like, oh, there's just some flawed, rotten part of your personality and like, boo-hoo, you're just weak, right? If we don't believe that, and if instead we believe that like, no, actually, when things are what you want to do, you typically end up doing them, right? Like, I think that that lends itself to a much healthier point of view, and then that leads to the permission. Like it may be that after all of this like brouhaha, right? Like that at the end of the day, like you just don't actually want that thing. I mean, it's a slim chance. I mean, more likely there's like some levers that you have to pull and some system that you have to create knowing yourself. But there is a chance that the goal that you so-called are very fervently pursuing is actually just like either an old goal that you actually don't care about anymore or someone else's goal that you have weirdly adopted as your own but actually doesn't belong to you. And so just also like final thing before you move on with life today is like just do a gut check. Just do a gut check and say, is this actually what I want? Okay, and it's going to do one of two things. A is you're going to be like, oh my God, like, where did that desire to do that thing come from? And if it came from yourself, then you need to reconnect with that old part of yourself and just do a check-in and be like, hey, is this still what we're going for? Does this still make sense for who we are, what we want right now? Right? Or B, you're going to be like, I don't actually want that at all. And that's like some random thing that got like implanted in my head. That's like, has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Or like my mom said something and then made me feel bad about it. And then is pressuring me to do it. And like, I don't actually want to do it. Right. So like, also just do a gut check. Okay, guys. Well, that was the video for today. How do you like my background? I decided to set it up with the good old bookshelf. I hope this was helpful. And I love you guys. And as always, I will see you soon. Bye.